Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is 110 CW1 Writing Equations 1 for PARCC. We'll just jump right into it. So the first problem here says Phil and Matt made cookies for a fundraiser at their high school. Phil made 25% more cookies than Matt. So that means if Matt made 10 cookies, Phil made 25% more, which is 1/4. So he made another 2.5 cookies. He's made 12.5 cookies. Let's do a better example. Let's say Matt got 8 cookies. He made 8 cookies. That means 25% of 8 is 2 cookies. 1/4 of 8 is 2 cookies. So Phil made a total of 10 cookies. So if Matt made 8 cookies, Phil made 10 cookies. That's what the 25% more means. So Phil made 25% more cookies than Matt. The cookies sold for 25 cents each. So every cookie that you sell, you get 25 cents. After the sale, 20% of the combined total of their cookies remained. Meaning, if they made 100 cookies, 20% of the combined total of their cookies remain. Meaning that there's 20 cookies left if they made 100 cookies. That's what the 20% of the total combined of their cookies remained. That's what that means. In part A, they want you to create an equation to represent the total amount of money Matt and Phil earned at the fundraiser based on the number of cookies Matt had made. Explain how you determine the equation. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to practice writing an equation and setting up the equation there and combining our like terms. Then you're going to enter your equation and your explanation in the space provided below. So you can just type in the equation that you made for yourself. What PARCC is looking for is that for a full amount of points is that the student response must include each of the following 2 elements: the correct equation that you make and a valid justification of how the equation was determined. So there's actually multiple correct ways about going about doing this. We're just going to focus on the one style and get comfortable with that style. If you come to extra help, I could show you in other ways too. So with the cookies example that we just talked about, here's a sample response, a good answer. Let M be the number of cookies that Matt made. Then the numbers of cookies that Phil made would be 1.25 M. Now remember that 25%? Well, that 25% is that 0.25 added on to that 1. 1 stands for 100% of the cookies that Matt made. Plus 25% more would be the amount of cookies Phil makes. Let A represent the total amount of money earned. So A stands for 0.25, which stands for the 25 cents that each of the little cookies are being sold. So 25 cents for every cookie. 0.80 represents for 80% of the cookies that Matt and Phil had made. And M stands for the cookies that Matt made, that M right here, plus the amount of cookies that Phil made, which is 1.25 times Matt. This is an example of one equation to find out the amount of money they made, which is A. The total number of cookies made is the sum of the number Matt made and the number Phil made. Only 80% of the cookies sold, so the total number of needs to be multiplied by 0.8 each cookie sold for 25 cents. So the total amount earned would be 0.25 times the 80% that were sold. So that's the other element that they're looking for. They want you to explain in English what this equation means. And that's what they did down here. So let's look at another example here. We're going to focus on just writing that equation. We got some brownies. John and Stephen made brownies for a fundraiser for their baseball team. John made 40% more cookies, 40% more brownies. Whoops. That should be brownies. More brownies than Stephen. The brownies sold for 50 cents each. So each one of those 1 brownies cost 50 cents. After the sale, 35% of the combined total of their cookies remained. So that means that they sold 65% of their total amount of brownies. That's what this line is saying. After the sale, 35% of the combined total of their cookies or their brownies remained. I really forgot to change all those cookies to brownies in this problem. Next, you are to create an equation to represent the total amount of money John and Stephen earned at the fundraiser based on the number of brownies Stephen made. Explain how you determine the equation. So let's do that. Let S be the variable for Stephen. So S stands for the number of cookies that Stephen made. So John made 40% more than Stephen. So his expression should look like S plus 0.4S, which means S stands for the number of cookies that Stephen made, or the number of brownies that Stephen made, plus the 0.40 stands for the 40% more brownies that Stephen had made, because John made 40% more. So it's going to be S plus the 0.40S. The amount of Stephen made plus 40% more. So the 0.40S means 40% more than Stephen. So the total amount of brownies made, which I'm going to represent as Q, is the equation Q equals S plus 0.4S, which means the amount of cookies Stephen made plus the amount of cookies Stephen made plus the 0.40S, the 40% more of Stephen's. So this S stands for the Stephen, and then the S plus 0.4S stands for all the cookies that John made. This entire thing is the amount that John made. Now the brownies sold for 50 cents each, so 0.50 times the amount of brownies sold is the money they earned. So they say 35% of brownies are left, so that means 100% minus 35% equals 65%. Which is represented as 0.65 of the brownies were sold. So your equation is right here on the bottom. The money they earned, money sign, is going to equal 0.65 for the 65% of their brownies that were sold, times the 50 cents, which they were charging per brownie, and the S plus 0.40S stands for the amount of brownies that they made. Alright, here's the next problem. Using the same concept but with different numbers. Jesse and Gabriella made Beanie Babies for a fundraiser for their softball team. Jesse made 60% more Beanie Babies than Gabriella. The Beanie Babies sold for $3 each. After the sale, 65% of their combined total of their Beanie Babies remained. So they didn't really get to even sell not even half of their Beanie Babies. They only sold 35% of the Beanie Babies they made. So they only sold about a little bit more than a third of their Beanie Babies. Create an equation to represent the total amount of money Jesse and Gabriella earned at the fundraiser based on the number of Beanie Babies Gabriella made. Explain how you determine the equation. So I'm going to let G be the variable for Gabriella. So that means G is the amount of Beanie Babies Gabriella made. So Jessie made 40% more than Gabriella. So her expression looks like G plus 0.60 G, which means the same thing as 1.6 G, which represents Jesse's amount of Beanie Babies that Jessie made. The 0.60 means 60% more than the Gabriella or his Beanie Babies. — 40% is supposed to be 60. Keep things consistent. So Jessie made 60% more Beanie Babies than Gabriella. That's why it looks like that equation. G plus 0.60 G. So the total amount of Beanie Babies that were made will represent as Q. So Q plus G plus 0.6 G is an expression or an equation that represents all the Beanie Babies that are made. The Beanie Babies the beanies, sold for $3 each. So at $3 a pop times the amount of Beanie Babies sold equals the money that they earned. So they say 65% of the beanies are left. So that means, well, 100 minus 65. That means they sold 35% of their Beanie Babies, which is represented as 0.35. So the money they earned, aka that dollar sign, is equal to 0.35 for the 35% of their Beanie Babies stock, times $3, because that's the price of the Beanie Baby, and the G plus 0.6 G, well, that's the amount of Beanie Babies they made. And we determine that from up here above. Alright, one last problem here we'll do together before you do a couple on your own. Jose and Mike made tacos for a fundraiser for their basketball team. Jose made 10% more tacos than Mike. The tacos sold for $2.50 each. After the sale, only 5% of their combined total of their tacos remained. That means a lot of people bought tacos for their fundraiser. Create an equation to represent the total amount of money Jose and Mike earned at the fundraiser based on the number of tacos made that Mike made. Explain how you determined your equation. Let M be the variable for Mike. So Jose made 10% more than Mike, so his expression should look like M plus 0.1 M. The 0.1 M means 10% more than Mike. So the total amount of tacos made, Q, is the equation Q equals M. That first M stands for the amount of tacos Mike made, plus M plus 1M, 0.1. The brownies sold for $2.50 each, so $2.50 times the amount of tacos sold. They say 5% of tacos were left, so that means 100 minus 5. That means 95% of their tacos were sold, aka 0.95 of tacos were sold. So the money they earned equals 95% of their product times $2.50 per taco times M plus 0.1 M. Well, that's the amount of tacos they made. So you multiply them all together, will get you the price tag of how much money they made selling all their tacos. All right, now it's your responsibility to complete the rest of the problems below and type in the equations. I want you to type in this equation for each one of those answers, or your answer should look something like this equation with just different numbers, different percentages of that they sold, the price tag at which they're selling it, that product for, and then this expression. In this case, how much tacos that Mike made plus the amount of tacos that Jose made. If you have any questions, call myself over or one of the teachers over to help you out. All right. Good luck.